Hello, ladies. Shu here. Happy Wednesday. Can't believe today's the 17th of July. I know, I'm usually always surprised of when we are, like in the month or the year for that reason. Um, but anyway, today is Wednesday. We're halfway through July. I feel like summer is gone. But anyway, since it's Wednesday, I wanted to hop on here and share a few tips for Wellness Wednesday. I know that some of you were working on some of the things that I will be sharing today. And here in the group, Women Achieving Mental and Emotional Wellness, we share strategies and tips and support to help women do just that, achieve mental and emotional wellness. So today for this Wellness Wednesday, I wanted to talk about 3 ways to rewire your brain. And I know, like I said, some of you have mentioned that that's something that you are working on this month of July. And I think all of us should be working on this every day because our minds are so bombarded with everything happening in and around us. Honestly, you don't need a reason to rewire your brain. Like every single minute of our lives, we have evidence of why that's important. So I'm going to just share 3 ways here. There's many other ways of doing it, but I'm not going to share 3 ways here that I think are very useful or very effective, and they're easier to apply right away. And you might be wondering where those 3 ways were coming from. If you're new to me, I'm Shu Allegra. I am a certified counselor and life coach, and one of the certifications that I have is in cognitive behavior therapy. And the premises of CBT, which cognitive behavioral therapy, is that our thoughts creates our emotion, and then our emotions, our thoughts create emotion. Emotions then lead us to act a certain way. So your thoughts are linked to emotion, which are linked to your behaviors. And then if you don't break that thought process, then your emotions and your actions will always follow suit. So it's the same way, whether in the positive side or way of things or the negative way of things. You want to have more positive, feelings and more positive things in your life, then you have to change the way you think about things and see things and your perspective. And so a lot of that rewiring your brain. So this is something that I'm very passionate about. And another certification that I have, I'm also a Christian, board certified Christian counselor, and CBT for me fits right into that because there is a verse in the Bible that tells us, "As a man thinketh, so is he," because our thoughts have that much power on us, on our reality and our experiences. So when those 3 different strategies I'm going to share today are kind of come from that, they all come from that CT approach, one brain change how you think, and also because I know that the way you think, often becomes your reality. So we want to change that in a positive way. So the first way that you can rewire your brain is literally to stop and think. And when can you use, and I call it stop and think. And those who work with me in my group sessions, my individual sessions, know exactly what I mean by this. But when you stop and think, you do exactly that. You stop and think. And when is this strategy useful? Often is when you feel like you're emotionally overwhelmed. When maybe you just heard some bad news, or maybe you just something just happened, or you just realize something you didn't know before and it's impacting you, or maybe there's so much going on in your life, you're like, I can't breathe, like I can't take one more thing, I'm gonna just like, I'm losing it, whatever term that you use to kind of say I'm freaking out, life is getting too overwhelming, stress has hit me. The stop and think strategy comes into play at that very moment, because when you stop and think, instead of letting all these emotions overwhelm you, you literally force your brain to take a pause. You force your brain, because those, you're gonna have to deal with these problems, they're not going away, right? So but this helps you to kind of put that, the brakes on, like, hold on here, right? Life is happening, but I have control about how I process these things. I can let those thoughts of like, oh, I'm freaking out, or let them overwhelm me, or I can be like, hey, the life is happening, what can I do about it? So stop and think helps you do just that, helps you take a moment to know and feel your feelings. And I often tell this to people, we spend more energy trying to numb our feelings, hi Nikki, instead of just feeling it, right? Because it takes less energy to feel something. Let it just, do it what it needs to do for you, and you feeling your those feelings without judging it, and without even labeling it. Just like right now, I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's okay, but I'm not going to let that feeling of overwhelmed. So you acknowledge that feeling, but then you're going to stop and think, okay, what do I need to do next? What do I even need in this moment that will help me not feel so overwhelmed? Right? So stop and think is one way you can wire your brain. It helps you take a break. It helps you refocus your energy, and it helps you process your feelings. So one was stop and think. And then the second way you can rewire your brain is what I call thought shifting. So when you stop and think, when you answer those questions about what do I need right now, what will help me, who will help me, um, what's my next action? That's the thinking process. Now with thought shifting is trying to take those thoughts that maybe are bothersome or overwhelming or stressful, and shifting them into feelings that are more positive, that fuel you and give you energy, that help you move forward. Often we as human we are wired to think about everything that's wrong in our lives. Like it's so easy for us to pinpoint, like this thing is wrong, this one is to change, this one I don't like. But then it takes more work and more intentionality to actually think about the positive things in your life. So with thought shifting, you shift those negative things, those things that you tell yourself that are not so good, either for you or doesn't serve you well, into something positive. And what I often hear from people, it's like, well, I don't know how to do that. Where do I start? So it helps if you kind of prepare for this before you get into the crisis mode. So maybe taking a moment, pull a piece of paper or a note taking app on your tablet or your phone, and think about what are those thoughts that you tell yourself all the time, and that do not serve you. Like, oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, geez, I'm not pretty enough. I'm so stupid. Sometimes we say those things in a very joking way, like I'm just joking. But honestly, it's out of the abundance of your heart that our mouth speaks. So with those things you say jokingly, often there's some truth that lie there, that some truth that you believe deep inside, and then when you're in a moment of crisis, it comes out as a joke. But honestly, there's truth to it. So even for those things I just say when I'm joking around, I want you to take a moment and write this thing down. Write down what is it that you tell yourself. And maybe it might be things that you have experienced in the past, because maybe somebody didn't respect what your work, and you're like, oh, I never do good work, my work is never good enough, or people don't like me. I want you to take the time to write all those things down. And the way then you shift those thoughts is then to find what is the truth in that, what's the reality. Or if you're not even there at that reality spot yet, let's say if it's like, oh, I'm ugly, for example, which I don't think anybody on earth is ugly. We're all beautifully and wonderfully made. But if that's one thought that it's overwhelming your mind right now, I want you then to even start looking at the positive side of that. So like, okay, when you pull that thought, bring that to remembrance if you want. And if it's something big as like, you don't like your body, try to think about even the usefulness of your body parts. Literally think like, okay, my eyes help me see. That's something to be grateful for. Or even thinking about, my arms help me drive, help me write. My nose help me smell. If and for some of us who have very physical limitation, you're like, well, my hands can't do the things we're mentioning. But think about, can you smell? Can you feel it touch? Like somebody dead touching your shoulder, you can feel that. So start appreciating some of those things that we take for granted, right? So that's one way you can start shifting your thoughts. And if you're like, well, I'm never, I'm not good enough, then I want you to start thinking about thinking about times where you actually get something that was excellent. Something, maybe somebody praised you for something you did at work or at home. Or maybe if you're in school, you did, took a class or a test and you had an A in it. Like, just so start pulling from your repertoire, your memory, things that evidence, for evidence that will help you shift your thought process. Because you need to have, it's so easy to find evidence for the negative. So if you take the time to start creating evidence for the positive, then you have that repertoire to pull into when those thoughts start becoming overwhelming. Because if you're always telling yourself that I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, then guess what you're gonna start feeling? You're gonna start feeling exactly what you're thinking. And if you start feeling that way, then you won't be able to enjoy life to the fullest. Not only that makes you feel depressed, but also it doesn't help you, want to pursue your goals and want to thrive in life, because those feelings are overwhelming to begin with, right? So take the moment, like I said, to write down the thoughts that are just overwhelming in your mind, that comes over and over again, and then create a repertoire of things that a positive way to look at those things. Think, pull back from positive experiences and make a list of those positive experiences. So then the way you do your thought shifting is that when that thought come in mind, oh, I'm not good enough, then you're like, oh no, maybe I flunked this test right now. Maybe this, book or whatever I did was not, it didn't turn out the way I wanted. But I remember when maybe a week ago, a month ago, 10 years ago, when I did X, Y, and Z and people liked it, or I did one thing and it was successful, right? That's why you need that positive repertoire of things to pull from. Or maybe right now I don't feel, I don't feel pretty right now, but I know that I'm beautiful. I know that I have beautiful eyes. Like, you think about, maybe just focus on one thing that at least you can appreciate in yourself. The more you do that, the more you're shifting your brains, but also you don't realize that also helps you in the long run, because you are creating new pathways in your brain. Yes, rewiring. Our brains are so our brains are so, like, I don't even know what the word to use here. Like, it's such a neat organ, how it just kind of, you know I guess, rejuvenates itself. That's why you see some of us who had strokes, and it's like, it's amazing how the brain is able to do after rehabilitation, right? But some, even people who have not had any brain injury, sometimes we forget that we injure our brains by the things that we tell ourselves. Yes. And the more you tell yourself those lies, or you tell yourself those things are negative, the more unhealthy pathways you're creating. And the more you have unhealthy pathways, the easier it becomes to be depressed and anxious and sad all the time. So you need to create positive pathways. And you create this positive pathway by shifting your mind, shifting your thoughts. So that was thought shifting. Then the third way that I want to share here with you, it's fact. You can call it, truth checking, fact checking, whatever you want to call it. So at least you're going to check the facts. You're going to check, if whatever you're thinking is true. And this one comes into play, especially for people who are become very sensitive to what other people say. You do one thing, so and so said this was not good, or so and so said this about what I was trying to create, or what I posted, or what I worked on. If you're so sensitive to what people's opinions are, the fact checking is really good for you. So I said again, fact checking, or truth checking. So you're literally checking if what people say is a fact, or is it true. And the way you do it, it's whether you kind of think through yourself with who you are as a person, or even asking other people. And especially if you need validation, this one will be good for you, because we all need different things. We all have different emotional needs, right? So if you have need for validation, then it becomes easy for you to feel down when people say certain things. So in order for you to rewire your brain in that particular instance, is to always check the facts. And off, like, I also sometimes I hear people say, like, well, this is never gonna work. Okay, look around. Like, really, is it never gonna work, or is it just that it didn't work this particular time? And even if it didn't work this particular time, what got in the way? Why didn't they did not work? What can help me in the future for it to work? So with the fact, the truth check, if you want, you're kind of combining all of you're combining the stop and think, because you have to literally kind of put a pause in your thoughts and your feelings to process. But then as you're thinking, then you're kind of shifting those thoughts as well, right? So kind of combines the two strategies that I shared earlier. But I think that the more you do this, the more, again, you're creating positive pathways, the more you're rewiring your brain to be more positive. And I guarantee you, the more emotionally stable you'll feel. And I know that we all want that. So I hope that these three strategies will help you. So for today or in every day, for me, every day should be a wellness day, not just Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. But I hope that you can take those three strategies and start working on it like right away. You know what you need the most. Try each one of them and see which one applies to your situation, which will be easier for you to implement. And if you need additional support, just message me. You know where to find me if you follow me already on social media, or if you get this in my email later, you have my contact info. But for no, those who are new to me, if you go to my website, Grace and Hope Consulting, you will find my contact info there. You can message me straight from my website, or my phone number, emails are all there, as well as my social media links. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, no, comment below. I'll get back to you. If you need more support, reach out to me. If you know somebody else who needs to hear this, please share it out. Honestly, this is something, like I said, we all need to be rewiring our brains every single day. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.